When we live in a world that's so hypersexualized, where sex is so politicized, so sensationalized, really a hot topic, pornography becomes a natural shadow, a counterpart of such a movement. When sex has been for so many millennia so repressed, so imbued with shame and fear, the only natural result of that is repression. When you look at one of the institutions that has been the forefront of sexual shame and repression, Catholic Church, Christianity, what perversions that happen at the top of this pyramid. This is the natural side effect of repression. In Genesis, Adam and Eve are tempted by fruit. But the world we live in now is so much beyond a natural inclination or interest. We are now into something so unnatural that it doesn't even serve us anymore. At the time those stories were written, fruit was really a symbol of something sweet, something so pure, something so sensual. But that's not what you would see advertising that today. If that story was written now, it would be a Mars bar, or a can of Coke, or a vape. Things that have an artificial sweetness to them. Now, is it such a wonder when you look at our relationship with sex and sexuality, so surface level? Such an artificial sweetness that it's very easy to become addicted to these cycles and these patterns. We have fast food, we have pornography. If you want to take control of your relationship to your sexuality, it is very important to reckon with your relationship with pornography, especially if you're a man, because this is one of the tools that is used to control your energy levels and your energy cycles on a daily basis. If every time you see a naked or scantily clad woman, certain dopamine, testosterone spikes happen, then you're like a rat, and these things can be controlled and tweaked to get you to do things, spend your money on things, to go against your internal values. Now, the answer to this is not fear, it's not shame, and it's not repression. These things have never worked. If you want to take control of your habit, your sexual cycles, pornography, you need to understand why. A deeper why than just because it's what you're supposed to do, because other people told you to. These reasons all fall away. And you can certainly change your habits, even by these reasons. You can, do NoFap or whatever you want and get yourself to a point where you're really good, and every time you see a sex scene in a movie, you turn away and you don't look. You're still running away from something, and this creates a tension. Every time you turn away, you eventually will need to recoil. You need to transcend that. Your goal should be to reach a point where you can have the awareness of a sexually exciting form or image, and maybe you are aware of responses inside your body, but you simply allow it to be. You can observe it and be detached from it. If you're in the presence of a loving partner and they're consenting, then of course you can engage in that, but that then becomes a choice. It's not a habit, and it's not an addiction. And you become so grounded that you can balance and control the energies inside you. A sex scene comes on a film, and you can observe it and understand why they would have put this in a film, the reasons why. You may say, I don't like this as a as a matter of taste. I don't appreciate that it adds to the narrative. These are very acceptable beliefs. But it's not turning away and running. At least when you face it, you can find the reasons, you can find the beliefs that are deeply intrinsic to you. And if you really can't come up with a reason why you would want to cut out pornography from your life, then you'll never be able to do it, because there's no deep enough desire there. It's the same as a smoker. A smoker only quits when they want to, when they're ready, when they understand how it's impacting their life, their energy. They know that they want to be somewhere, and yet they keep falling into these habits, these patterns, these cycles. No one else can tell them that. They have to understand themselves. Because your relationship with your coping mechanisms is your relationship with your coping mechanisms. And if you are using certain behaviors to cope, then you have to understand what you're trying to cope from. You have to find healthier patterns to fall into, to replace them. You simply can't cut off your own foot. The body rejects it, the mind rejects it. That's why it's so hard to quit any habit if you start from a position of pushing away. That which you push away will always come back to you. Instead, you face it fully, authentically, truly, and you integrate it so that it becomes a part of your awareness, a part of your inner experience, and you don't identify with it, you don't run away from it, you don't push it away, you don't repress it, you don't shame it. It's simply there, and it has no power over you. This is the point that you get to. Pornography is used much like sugar to guide and control your attention to where it's needed, to Hollywood music industry, to blockbuster movies. Sex sells. So you will find yourself a constant buyer. If you're not able to become aware of how sexual images impact your experience. We're well beyond the point where you can simply avoid social media or avoid looking at things. Things will come. Sex has become a real hot topic. And the issue with society is it places such importance on it. Now, we've all learned this from our fathers, our grandmothers. We've inherited this obsession with an aspect of ourselves that is so natural, so pure, so beautiful, and so divine. We've once again overcomplicated something that should be so simple. So return back to that simplicity. First, make an acquaintance with your shame. Where does it come from? Who in life has made you feel ashamed of your sexual urges and feelings? What point are you trying to prove? What are you running away from? What are you afraid of? No habit has ever been changed out of fear, not truly, not deeply, and not in the way that counts. You must move from a place of love of yourself, understanding of your development and how you've been influenced by the world around you. And through this process of love, you can appreciate beauty when you see it. You can understand and accept your physical responses, but know that your mind can exist from a much higher space. You can be the observer, and you can still live life so joyfully and so freely, but now you're not being manipulated. You know, you're not so easily controlled. Your eyes don't dart around like a dog when it sees a squirrel. You can rise to a more divine ideal, the compelling visions you have, the things that keep you up at night, what you want to achieve and make in this world, what you want to be known for after you die. These things are larger than your sexual cycles. And in fact, that same energy that you waste and rid yourself of every other day, you can transmute it to higher faculties. You can achieve great things. You can really become the person that you know you're on the path to be. And maybe you just need that little nudge. And it all begins with awareness. So next time you find yourself falling into an old habit of looking up or watching pornography, draw attention to your inner experience. And then you could almost imagine yourself zooming out and just observe this being. What emotions exist within them? What are they trying to prove? What are they trying to escape from? Just observe. Through simple awareness of this being, you start to begin a more deeply authentic relationship with evolving and developing alternatives that are more long-lasting, that don't support an abusive and predatory industry. And you can escape this cycle we've been stuck in for thousands of years. Sex is beautiful, wonderful, but it's not the entire purpose of our being or living. Because we're able to rise above the lizard brain, the animalistic mind, and we can exist at a point of divinity where sex can be a dance, but we can also have other ways of feeling that deep bliss that permeates through your body. You can connect to the deepest source of life force, of joy, of love, and transmute this and share it with those around you and radiate such bliss. Your essence can be so pure, so powerful, so refined. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You're just on a journey. And knowing and understanding yourself, making peace with your past, and removing all the attachments to the future and any outcomes, just centering in, zooming out, and just beginning to observe your own cycles.